Henry Kissinger was a well-known, totally a homosexual, not even both ways.
And so his wife is a marriage of
oh, it's just a convenience. Yeah, and he might, you know, maybe he's discovered women in his late age, I don't know. But no, I heard through a very well-grounded German that Henry's best friend's father told Henry to stay away from him, and that's why Henry left. The family were embarrassed, and Henry went to Britain where they did this, and then changed his name from Heinz to Henry. And I interviewed a man named Bob, who's an Army enlisted person who told me about Henry in Cambodia. So he, up through Cambodia, he was actually raping young men. And of course, that experience destroyed the lives of these 5 young men, according to the source. I mean, he said he was crying, and this man was a perfectly wonderful, functioning, young married man who worked for a newspaper on the Eastern Shore and had 3 young children, went to Vietnam as an enlisted man, was put in Cambodia, which he said it was a lie living there, and then ran into Henry Kissinger, or Henry Kissinger ran into him and did certain things to him, invited him into his tent with some other men. It was horrible, but it was, you know, he said it's wartime and so forth. But he said, you know, I could have taken it mentally if it had been a bunkmate or something. But he said, when it's someone like Henry Kissinger who does it to you, you're ruined. He said, I could never, he said he came back home. Oh, and this is interesting, and I really believe that Bob's right. He said, Kissinger said to him, if you ever tell anybody, if you ever mention a soul, it's the end of you. Don't you ever tell anybody. Well, when he got back, when Bob got back, he went to a special hospital, and they were going to keep him locked up forever.
Bob is...
Don't need the last name.
No, I wouldn't dare. He was a tall, sort of middle-aged, had been enlisted in the Army during Vietnam, and must have been very good-looking. He had a wife and 3 children. He was doing things for a little newspaper. He was writing articles for a little newspaper before he was pressed into going into Vietnam.
All right.
And being good-looking, and his family were German, but that wasn't the issue. He just was good-looking. And he was in, I believe he said Cambodia, or, in other words, he was where they weren't supposed to be. And Kissinger, they had a base camp there, and Kissinger was in the base camp. He had a big tent there. And Bob told me how Kissinger came over to him. They were out, you know, sort of inspecting the troops during the day, and Kissinger got Bob off to the side and put his hands in a certain place and invited him to come to his tent. Well, that evening, and he said there were 2 other people there, and he described to me graphically what they did. And I can tell you, and Bob broke down and cried. He said, what are you going to do when someone like this, as powerful as he is, does this to you, and you try to go home after having been in a really crazy war anyway? And Bob was warned by him not to talk, and in fact, when he got back to Washington State or Oregon or wherever it was, there was a psychiatrist who was there, and they tried to put him in an institutionalized setting, and he had some friends back home, back in Virginia, and he got back home, and he just he said it really messed up his marriage.
He told this story to you.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about, I assume, sexual penetration.
Yeah. Oh, yes, and just anal, just horrible stuff.
Right.
And it just is so.
And you had no doubt
sad.
that he was telling the truth.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt whatsoever. Okay. No doubt whatsoever. And because he didn't have, he was just we had been friends, and he was just talking. We were just talking, and he brought it up, and it wasn't something I was wanting to know about in particular.
Well, he had to talk, obviously, and there was something about you that seems to have made him want to open up.
Yeah, because I was trying to find out how things were in Vietnam, and and I had a couple of Marine Corps colonels tell me about how it was, and
similar thing. You mean how it was, meaning similar things?
Yeah, because there were no women there, and if there were women. In other words, this is wartime, and I understand that.
It is said that this is not uncommon in the military. There are many stories from occupied Palestine of Israeli troops being observed doing similar things. I can't vouch for that, but we do get stories. And is it propaganda? I don't know. But this kind of thing is not strictly... I don't think it's
no,
only
it's not
in our
limited.
service.
Oh, no, it's a wartime thing.